Hey, and welcome back to Caleb's Corner, and today we are looking at the Marvel Legends Controller Builder Figure Wave Iron Man. Now, I was super excited about this figure because it's designed after the Mark 70 Iron Man suit, which the one and only legendary Alex Ross designed himself. I love his artwork. I'm a huge fan. So when I saw this figure, I knew it was an instant pickup. The second I was able to find it in stores, I was grabbing this guy, no doubt about it. Super excited about this figure. Now for the packaging here on the front of the box, you'll see the window showing us the figure inside. On the side of the packaging, you will get some gorgeous Alex Ross artwork. That's the same on both sides. You can get more gorgeous Alex Ross art in the back, along with the rest of the controller Build-A-Figure wave and a read-up, which you can pause right now if you want and go ahead and read that for yourself. But with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and open him up and get Iron Man onto our stand. Alright, and here he is out of the package, and I gotta say, I really do adore this take on Iron Man's armor. Alex Ross crushes it with this design. But let's go ahead and talk about accessories really quick. He does come with two sets of hands, one of which will have the open palm hands with holes in them, so you can peg in the blast effects. He will come with a set of fisted hands. He will come with those two aforementioned blast effects and two smoke trails. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Iron Man's articulation. Now taking a closer look at this guy, we can see that we can move his head up about this far, which is pretty solid, and move his head down about that far, and he does actually have a separate articulated neck that sits in that collar armor area. So when we combine that with the neck hinge that the ball socket of the armor sits on, you can actually get look down quite a bit and up all the way, which is fantastic, especially for flight poses, which is something you really do want with an Iron Man figure. Additionally, his head does sit on a ball peg, so you can get some really nice side-to-side attitude on the head here, and it does, of course, spin all the way around like you would like to see on most figures, and it's pretty standard at this point. And the neck spins around by itself too. Those are separate pieces, so you can move the neck independently of the head. As for the arm itself, you will get less than a 90-degree angle, which I find quite lackluster, and that is because of a soft plastic they are using for the shoulder pauldrons on Iron Man's armor here, which is much softer than the rest of the plastic used on the figure, which allows it to give as you move the shoulder upwards, though it does inhibit you from going to a 90-degree angle out to the side on the arms. And it also dimples, as you can see. I'm not sure how the dimple will wear in over time. I guess we'll see how that lasts as it wears down over long-term use. I will be curious if it dimples permanently or not. We'll see as it stands the test of time. You also get a full spin out of the shoulder there. You do get a bicep cut, which will get caught on that shoulder pauldron. You just got to force it forwards. You do also get a double jointed elbow. However, because of the armor and the way it's engineered, you do only get just past a 90-degree angle on that double jointed elbow, which is unfortunate. No forearm cut, and the wrist go all the way around and hinge back and forward. It's something odd I noticed on this figure and I wanted to point out to you. For some reason, when I peg the hands into the figure itself, the plastic that supports that wrist hinge feels extremely flimsy. It kind of just like wobbles freely, super loose, and I don't know why, because when I don't have the hands pegged in, when they're just free by themselves, they are super stiff and really sturdy, but for some reason when you peg them in, they're soft and flimsy. As for the torso articulation for Iron Man here, it's kind of a mixed bag. He is set on this diaphragm ball joint, which will go backwards about that far. However, when you push him that far backwards, you do get this protrusion right under where his chest ends on the front of the figure, and you also get gapping on the back of the figure, which kind of ruins that like seamless Iron Man armor look that you want. Going forward on this ball joint, you will be able to crunch Iron Man about that far forward. It's not a ton, it's a little bit, but it is there, but it's not as much I would have liked to have seen. However, you get a ton of range side to side. However, when you do push him that far to the side, you do get like this broken sculpt and like stair step look on the side of the figure, which isn't super appealing. But you do get quite a bit of play side to side regardless, and unfortunately for whatever reason, there is no waist twist at all for no reason. I don't understand why not. As for leg articulation, he will kick forward about this far and backwards about that far, which is a decent amount. Not going to complain there. For splits, you get about 80% of the way, which isn't too bad. The upper plastic that's soft does inhibit it from going any further. You do get upper thigh twist, which is nice, and you also will get a double jointed knee here, which is pretty solid. You can get him almost kicking himself in the butt. It's actually a really nice double jointed knee considering his armor in the boot in the bottom there. You do get a boot cut, which is hidden at the top of his boot, and you do get his feet going about that far back and this far forward, and you also do get a really nice ankle rocker built in there as well. And something I did want to point out on this figure is that though this is the Alex Ross Mark 70 armor, this particular figure would technically be more inspired by the artwork we see in the comic later, and not necessarily strictly Alex Ross's initial design. As you can see, there are black eyes on the figure. There's no glow, there's no window through to Tony's eye here. And on the side of the art, you can actually see Alex's work, which there is a window through those eye holes. You can see Tony's eyes there, which is consistent in all of the artwork I have seen Alex Ross do of this Mark 70 armor he designed. On the figure, it's just black, sculpted flat. There's no eyes there. You could technically repaint it yourself if you wanted to, but you're painting eyes on a flat, like, curved surface. There's no actual eye sculpt there. So if you tried to paint it, it would be a freehand job with no sculpt to follow. Additionally, on this figure's sculpt on the hands, they do not paint the arc reactors on his open palmed hands where the blast effects peg into. It is just black nothing, which is kind of irritating. I wish they would sculpt that. I imagine it'd be super cheap, if not like a penny or a couple of pennies, to add a little white paint in there to match the rest of the light effects and arc reactor pieces. There's nothing there. It's just like this empty maw of just nothing plastic. I wish they would just paint that. I don't know why they don't. It would look so much better if they did. And then here is the smoke effect as it's intended to be used. You're supposed to put it around the blast effect and then use that to hold it in place while you peg it into the boot or hand of Tony's armor. However, I like using it this way instead, kind of like a post-blast smoke trail effect. I don't like having the intended use because it has the smoke effect start the trail from the base of the blast, which isn't how smoke actually works. It'd be from the bottom of those jets. So I prefer having it the other way, where I kind of just wrap it around Tony's wrist or the bottom of the boot, because you get like this really nice smoke trail effect versus this weird, awkward look that makes it seem like Tony's armor is smoking versus the exhaust from the jets. My other complaint would be that you only get 2 blast effects, and I wish it came with 4, because if you have them both in the hands, you get nothing for the feet, or alternatively, if you put both of the blasts into his feet, you get nothing for the hands, so he kind of just has like these open palmed, nothing hands that kind of just look awkward if you don't have jets coming out of them. Or you could have like one blast in one hand and one blast in a foot, but you just get the same problem where one foot and one hand doesn't have a blast. I wish they just included 2 more. I can't imagine it would have cost them much more to include 2 more, because it would have been awesome to have all 4 jets going out of his hands and feet for flight poses, but instead you just get 2 and you kind of have to pick and choose. I also had a little bit of black paint smudge on his right shoulder. I'm not exactly sure how it got there, because as far as I could tell, the only black paint is on his helmet, so I'm not sure how that would have gotten onto his shoulder, but alas, it did. Alright, final thoughts for this figure here. I think the sculpt work is fantastic. I love this armor design. I think he articulates especially well for an armored figure, though I would have liked to have seen a butterfly joint and maybe some waist articulation would have been appreciated, but I think he looks fantastic. It's one of my favorite Iron Man figures that I've seen in recent memory. Obviously, like, I love the Alex Ross designs, so that helps this figure quite a bit in my book, but I have had so much fun posing this figure and messing around with him and having him sit on my shelf with the rest of my figures and posing together. He is gorgeous, though I would have liked to have seen a little more paint in the form of a black wash so you can really get those nice armor paneling details that the sculpt has that you don't have stand out too much without a black wash, though he is fantastic. I've had so much fun with this guy. So for a final verdict, we're going to give Mark 70 Iron Man a 7 out of 10. I think he's well worth a pickup, especially if you enjoyed this design of Iron Man as much as I do. And that's going to do it for the Mark 70 Iron Man armor review. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It means a lot. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought about this figure. Anything I said that you agreed with or disagreed with, I would love to hear. And feel free to tell me what you want to see me review next. I'm interested in what you guys want to see from the channel. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like. If you want to see more content like this in the future, be sure to subscribe. And I will see you next time right here at Caleb's Corner.